Hey guys, so we'll continue our discussion on loops. We've already seen the for and the for in loop. Let's get started with the while loop. So a while loop actually loops through the block of code as long as the specified condition is true. Now before even we getting there, let me just show you the syntax for what the while loop will look like. Let me close the comments and let me start writing. While a condition, it will go inside and execute block of code. That's it. That's the syntax for the while loop. Now before we run into an example and I show you how the while loop behaves, let's make sure that you have this auto run JS as unchecked, which means it's turned off. The reason being is as you type, it will start processing your command, JS command, and it may lead to a problem or a crash. So make sure that you just uncheck it before we begin. Let's initialize a variable I is equals to 0 while I is less than 10. I will just do a console log of I. Simple, right? But the reason I told you to uncheck this is now what happens is you have initialized 0. The condition of I is less than 10, but I never gets incremented in this logic, which means I will always be less than 10, and this is a condition for infinity, and your browser will crash because it will keep on logging on numbers from 0 to pretty much infinity times. It will be 0 because you're not incrementing anything. So make sure that you increment this, or at least have certain conditions based off which this condition has to be reevaluated after execution of every loop. So let's see this in action. And let's run with JS. Let's close the output, open the console, let's run. And the answer is 0 to 9. If I change this to 4, it should start from 4 to 9. You see that? Okay. You will ask now, what is the difference between a for loop and a while loop? Well, to be honest, there is no difference between the two. The only difference I would say is the statement 1 moves out and the statement 3 moves in. That's the only difference I would say. It all is derived based on statement 2. So while is pretty much the statement 2 of a for loop. So now what if my value of I is 11? This condition will never execute. Nothing will happen. But I want this condition to be executed at least once. So let's change this to another example. And for that matter, we have something called as a do while loop. So the do while loop will be do while condition, which means the condition moves down, and that's it. So let's try to run this, and let me just quickly comment this out so that we just see the do while loop and not the while loop. I'll keep both uncommented when we share the code. So you see everything got executed. Now if I make the value of 4 as 11, let's run, it will still give me 11. So do while loop will execute at least once because this block of code is before the condition that we are checking. So this block of code will not be executed once the condition is not met. Once it will be definitely executed. So that's the do while loop. So make sure you practice some loops, and I'll see you in the next class.